And boom, we are live for the Tuesday Phoenix RIA. I'm Chris Simon. I'm here with my buddy Luke, as always. And
Oh
then
yeah.
Mike, how do you say your last name? I don't want
Sawtell.
Sawtell. All righty, we're here with Mike Sawtell. And we're going to talk about real estate side hustles, but just a little kind of recap of the market.
Heck yeah.
The Phoenix market, we keep talking about, had that run where it had 1,000 houses put on a week for like 12 weeks, and now I'm just actually pulling up actives as we speak.
Okay.
We kind of leveled out at that 18.5 mark or 18.2 mark. Well,
Okay.
we leveled out at like 17.7, and we've just then we went to 18.2, 18.3. But like the last 7 weeks, we're sitting at 18,700. So we've really kind of sat in that, call it 17.5 to 18.5 area for like 7 weeks now. So there isn't this massive, the people that had FOMO, all threw their house in the market. They didn't want to miss out. But now it's just kind of steady Eddie. And it's it's steady Eddie for the week after Christmas school starting, or 2 weeks after school starting. And guess what? This is just status quo for this time of year. People go back to school. People stop. Go look at flights right now. You can get them dirt cheap because people just stop traveling.
Right.
I just booked a flight from Florida for $188. So that doesn't happen very often. So everything goes back to status quo for, this time of year. Flights are cheap. Hotels are cheap, because people aren't traveling. And a quick side note, from 2 weeks from now, there will be doing the Redroom at 2:00, but then we will be back in person for this fall. We are going to be doing live networking. I found everybody, most people know about Blanco, at least I know about Blanco, but the Biltmore Blanco has this cute little downstairs, like you wouldn't know it's there. It's got a private room. It's got its own bar, own bartender, and we are going to do in-person networking third Tuesday for September, October, and then my favorite spot in the world is Coach House.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That will be November. So
heck yeah. Well, first things first, Chris, where was my invite on your $188 Florida flight purchase?
Oh, you can buy it. You can buy it today.
Okay, perfect. As long as we're going to the Bahamas right after.
That's fine. So we need to do a Redroom show from the Bahamas. That should happen.
Yeah, I think that's an expense.
Yeah,
that's a write-off
for sure.
There's no doubt about it.
So, but what's awesome about this Blanco, it kind of fits into our Redroom theme. It's like a downstairs, quiet, get some, it is Mexican, so I don't know how much they'll have for bourbon, but we can probably work out some.
Right. Now we'll figure it out.
So, so anyway, we're talking about real estate side hustle. So I'm going to, Mike is Luke's buddy. They met at the gym, and I'm going to kind of let them take it over from here, since they know the story.
Absolutely. So you guys know, so I met Mike about probably 4 years ago or so at the gym. I started talking about real estate, just getting into the good talks. And so Mike, I'll let you kind of go on about what you do for your normal job and everything, but then kind of talk about how you decided to get into real estate and why you did, and let's go from there.
Yeah, I remember we were sitting over like by the dumbbells, and Luke takes a call, just typical of Luke at the gym on the phone.
Yeah, very accurate. Yeah,
about moving. We'll move the closing up and do this, and I just made the comment like, "Man, you just closing deals at the gym?" My ears always perk up when I hear closing. And we started chatting, and I was wearing a Detroit Lions shirt, if you remember that. I just came back from the Detroit Lions game.
Oh yeah,
I think it's just the terrible teams kind of just bond together. The Vikings.
Whoa. Okay, we're typically
Lions.
like a 500 team. All right.
We hit it off, but yeah, we you guys know this well, but real estate is so relative, and depends on what pond you're swimming in. I'm kind of in my circle of friends. I'm a big fish. I have which is going to be small to a lot of these ponds, but I have 10 properties, and so for my guys, I hire door-to-door sales reps that will go for summertime. they'll go knock doors, sell pest control, and they'll make pretty good money for a young college kid. And then a lot of them will get into real estate. So for those guys, I'm the guru, the ones they look up to, which is fun. I get to turn and look at you guys for all the advice and what I really need to be doing. But yeah, I've just slowly been growing the last few years. Got into some Airbnbs, a few long-term rentals, and selfishly, it was to offset business income and use depreciation to.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. I love to just give money to the government. I was
right.
By any means possible, not do that.
Heck yeah. No. So Mike, what would you say is, because I know we've talked about obviously depreciation a bit. That was obviously a big one for you, and you actually did kind of teach Jake and I a little bit, like, hey, you guys need to be using this for sure because it's actually huge. So kind of explain to everyone what depreciation does and kind of how you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah, I think the cat's getting out of the bag the last 6 months or so on social media. I see more and more people posting on it and kind of giving explanations, but everyone knows you can write things off. There's certain write-offs you can super depreciate, meaning you can claim the next 20 years or 10 years. So you can buy a truck and write off. Everyone knows you can buy a 6,000 pound vehicle and write it off. Well, there's certain tax codes that allow you to take a business, which is an Airbnb is classified as business income. And so for me, I'm not a real estate professional, but I can claim a business income, which Airbnb is, as an offset to my income. And so,
right,
for the simple numbers, if I buy a $500,000 home and I have to put 20% on $100,000, I've been able in the Valley to go get a cost segregation report. I go spend $3,000, and then I can turn around and get there's $20,000 of segregation. For me, I would rather put $100,000 into a home and then save $50,000, $60,000 taxes all along.
Right. No, absolutely. And then, so would you say, you personally, I mean, I kind of know your story a little bit more, but do you prefer like short-term rentals or do you prefer long-term rentals?
I was going heavy on short-term rentals over the last 2 years. I feel like it's definitely getting saturated. I know you guys talked about it, I think last week, about the laws, and everyone's been slowing down here in the Valley. I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, so I think generally speaking, I just love a deal. Anything I feel like is a good deal, I'll jump in at, and that's, I don't care, long-term, short-term, multi-commercial. Mm-hmm. I think the numbers can work. I go for it.
What's the Facebook group you're in that? So if anybody is doing some short-term rentals, I can jump in and hop in that group.
Let me just open it. I think it's Arizona. Yeah, Arizona short-term rentals is one of them. That's probably the biggest one I'm in, and you'll see a lot of people talking about how things have been slow this summer, and you see a lot of people posting what they just finished for sale, saying, "Hey, I think I'm going to get out of this, and here's my fully furnished Airbnb."
Right.
In March for sale now.
Well, I think a big reason why and you guys know this, but most of our Airbnbs are up north. Most of them are up in Prescott, but yeah. I think a big part of the reason why we've seen a little bit slower summer than normal was because our monsoon season was amazing here in Phoenix this year. So I feel like you didn't have as many people that were like, "Oh man, I got to get out of this heat. I got to escape the heat," because we talk about all the time. I didn't think it was that bad this summer. We had rainstorms like 3 times a week for the past 6, 7, almost 8 weeks.
I think it is 110 right now. So
yeah, right now. Yeah. Well, guess what? We also had 9 bookings in the last 2 days.
There you go.
So I think that was a big part of it personally on the stuff up north. And then the same thing I guess in Phoenix too, though, is some people, if they're going to do like getaways and whatnot, they're probably figuring if it's nice weather, they don't even need to do it right now.
I do Turos as well, and I think it's all of them. Like I'm in the same Turo Facebook groups, and people are talking about how it's lower. I've noticed less bookings. It's just there's less traveling, and I think you have a higher saturation on both of those, Turos and Airbnbs, than last year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you definitely a lot of people came to Arizona and Florida and wherever they could go to get away from COVID restrictions. Wherever the people were getting restricted the most, they were leaving the most.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody that says they want to come to Arizona in 110 is lying. It's just worse. It's worse where they're at for some other reason. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. Living, in California during COVID, I think most people know that was not exactly a real fun thing. So
I had a ton of bookings I had a ton of just people that wanted a weekend with a pool. All my houses in Arizona have a pool in the valley here. And I had a ton of just, hey, we're having a family reunion in the middle of summer and we want a pool, or a birthday party weekend. And then you'll get a lot of I've had a ton of insurance claims lately where you'll have someone just needs 2 weeks to 8 weeks because their house or something or another. So you get a bunch of random ones, and the goal is always to break even at least during the summer. This summer has been the hardest. I think I actually lost money on a couple houses, but they'll more than cover that over the next 6-7 months.
Yeah, during the Super Bowl weekend, maybe.
Oh yeah, those prices are crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So just a little side note, I always like around April 1st, I always throw mine up for a 3 to 5 month rental.
Yeah.
And it's just about what Mike was talking about. You get those people that have insurance claim, they need space, whatever. They're moving out because they don't want to live in the rehab. And usually, and I had to take one. I took one in June 1st that went to December 1st, which obviously isn't optimal because October and November are good months. But just the simple fact that I was getting rent and could turn off the utilities and everything for June, July, August, September, because September is not really. It's better than August and July, but it's not really a good month. So I had to give up 2 pretty good months, October and November, but I got to get rid of them for the summer months. So
that makes sense.
January through April is really February through April is when people will make almost all their money in the Airbnb world. You'll cover costs, maybe make a little bit, but that's when they really bankroll.
Oh, for sure. So Mike, would you say for people that are, maybe just getting into the, the real estate world, or maybe even just getting into like the, maybe having a couple of rentals here and there, would you recommend short-term or long-term for them?
I would say, I'm going to dodge your question and say, whatever the low hanging have access to, if I just feel like everyone has access to a deal somewhere. They know an aunt with a space that's not being used, or they have access to a home that someone's going to sell. They don't know what to do with. And some of them make more sense as a long-term rental. Some of them as a short-term rental. Our good friend at the gym, Alan, had a condo. He was about to turn into a long-term rental. I was like, hey, before you do it, he was going to get like $1,200 a month. I was like, just throw it up on Airbnb.
Yeah, spend $3,000 on furniture, because it's obviously fairly small. So
he's been getting $2,500 a month on a tiny 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment condo. So look for wherever you have access to. If you have a home you're in that you have some equity in, you can obviously play with. But yeah, start with the ease of access. Don't go, I'm going to go to Scottsdale because that's where the bookings are. Start with wherever you're comfortable and have access to.
Right. No, for sure.
Cool. So what triggered you? Is there anything that just like inspired you to just like, yeah, I'm going to go do this? Did you watch somebody? Did you see a guru? Did you see anything like that? Or
yeah, real estate's always been like, I know one day I wanted to get into it. It's kind of that first one is the hardest. A lot of times it's the most unknown or question. Mm-hmm. We bought a cabin in 2019, and I bought it with the goal of being an Airbnb. That was how I sold my wife on the extra expense there. And then it just opened up the tax savings part of the depreciation, but then also that kind of just steamrolled that wasn't so bad. The numbers can work, and you just realize how quickly you can scale. And then that 2-year stretch with properties rising and value and equity in home, you could just, anyone that the half a pulse could have been pulling money out, renting and repeating. And so I did that a bunch of times over the last 2.5 years. I'm 36 years old. I always said, just kind of off the cuff, that I wanted 40 homes by the time I was 40. And so I think I'm on pace right now. I'm just over 10, depending on how you count multifamilies.
Oh yeah. Kind of by the door. You're good.
So when did you buy your first property?
What was that?
When did you buy the first one? Was that cabin?
Yeah, it was the cabin. And then shortly after that, it was what I was talking about, low-hanging fruit. My mom called me and she's like, hey, there's this house 2 doors down. Her mom died. She doesn't know what to do with the house. And I had a few friends kind of in the wholesaling world, buying world. And I just, from, program myself, I've been literally every morning affirmations, visualizing, these are my goals, what I want to do. And I was like, I'll buy it. And then I just kind of figured it out, and it's not that hard to go track down, especially when it's a deal. Anytime you have a home under under a current value, market value, there's people that will give you money for it. So bought that one. 4 months later, she moved. I bought her house right around the corner. I launched my first Airbnb in March of 2020, which was terrifying because no one knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Little did I know that was going to be the best time ever to launch an Airbnb. But the day before I launched it, they closed spring training down, and I was stressing. But yeah,
Oh,
started this steamroll of anytime someone would say something about a house, I just kind of listen in and say, yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring. And they started coming out of the woodworks.
Heck yeah. I like it. And then Mike, talk about, so you use obviously a property management company for your Airbnb. Is it for all your Airbnbs now?
Yeah, I used to manage 2 of them, and property. Sorry, I'm not a property manager. I don't want to do that. And so I've slowly been carving off all the properties I can to someone more specialized. I have one in Payson, a 4-plex in Payson. I have one out in Show Low, and you just find someone local who has the connections, and life is much, much easier.
What are you paying for property management on the short-term stuff?
Short-term stuff, I think I'm right around 20%. I have 2 different ones I'm playing with and using, but right around 20% on average.
Okay.
That seems to be pretty good for short-term rentals. I know you can go up to 30 pretty quick, depending on what all you want covered.
Oh yeah. And so we were actually talking, because Chris, we did our podcast last week was about kind of the security features that, I'm trying to remember what his name was. What was it?
You're talking about the guy from last week?
Yeah.
You're going to catch me and I'm going to
I
be brain
know.
dead.
But anyway, so he was doing the security. He was talking about the security features that they offer. And so I went and I was telling Mike about it, and I was like, yeah, it's really cool. Like Tim, yeah, that's right.
Tim Scarpino.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, it's got like a security feature where it's like, it does like the decibel and everything. And so Mike was like, yeah, it's included in their management company.
Yeah, they made me buy it, but they require it. They do their thermostat, their lock, and then a few other things. But one of them is they use Noise Aware, which is the same thing, just over decibels. It pings them and keeps things at bay. Yeah, it's crazy. The people that are good at managing properties, which I'm not. I don't want to spend much time, so I only did Airbnb. These guys will do 3 or 4 different sites. Some of them will have their own landing site. They will not only make more money than I was making, but even with paying that 20%, I'm still bringing in more, and I don't ever hear a single complaint, which for me is most important. Is that I don't hear from these people ever.
Now, how do your management companies work in the sense where, okay, if something goes wrong with it, do you have a certain amount that's in the account and they just do it? They take that out if it's under a certain amount, and if it's over a certain amount, they say, hey, this came up. What do you want me to do about it?
Yeah, there's a buffer that they'll just use at their discretion. I'll get the reports every month, and then on top of that, I have a business credit card on file for each house that if they need to, they can do something. But yeah, like hopefully in the next couple months, all those accounts will be looking pretty good as things are going better, and they'll just be kicking me a monthly report and some income. And then it's awesome too because we all have family come or just random needs. I have a lot of guys that will come to town, and I'll just go onto my owner portal and I'll block off that week and essentially skim off the top for myself.
Right. Exactly. Oh yeah. I think that's one of the biggest draws personally as well with Airbnbs. It's like, when you start doing them in different cities and different areas, just with your family, it's like, it's so nice to be able to say, you know what, let's go ahead and stay here for Labor Day, or let's stay here for Thanksgiving, or whatever it is, because then you can kind of give your family like these experiences of staying in these different places. And the whole time, they're making you money as well throughout the year. So I'm with you. I think they're win-wins.
One thing I will say for people kind of starting or wanting to is take advantage of secondary home loans. So for me, my cheapest loan that I got was that second one, because I only had to put 10% down on that cabin, and then I could rent it out part-time as Airbnb.
Yeah.
Did Mike freeze on us?
Yeah, he did. We lost you, Mike. Yeah.
That's a good photo. Oh, he's back.
There he is.
We're trusting Verizon. We're not going to get off the Wi-Fi here.
You should have seen seen the expression on your face for the last 30 seconds.
No.
I was trying to grab my phone to snap a photo real quick. It was a good one.
I don't know what I was just saying, take advantage of the lowest interest rates or the lowest money down you can, which for most people is gonna be second home, buy a cabin, beach house somewhere. I'm now, because I have offices in Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia. My next goal is to buy a lake house in Michigan somewhere I can hang out in the summertime, and then Airbnb when I'm not there.
Oh yeah.
I think I can get away with doing that one for only 10% down as well.
I've seen some of your videos from those lake houses that you stay at. They're pretty sweet.
I tell you, Midwest lake life is almost as good or better than a beach life, especially for me with young kids. Kids playing on a calm lake versus, the Pacific Ocean is terrifying.
You don't have to worry about sharks.
Yeah, sharks.
Chris is a shark diver over here.
Yeah, I like the sharks. Let's go see the sharks. But I get it, for young kids, that may not be a good experience. So
right.
So it's interesting about what you're talking about, like the low-hanging fruit. Some people might be getting scared of these interest rates, but at the same time, if you probably did a cost analysis on some of the discounts you can get right now, because if you would have bought from Luke last year, it would have been worth like $300, and he'd have wholesaled at $299. Actually, he might have sold it at $300.
For real.
Hey, that's not true. We leave some room on the old bone there, okay?
But you would have gotten call it a 3.5% mortgage. Now you might be 5. I didn't even look at the 10-year. What was the 10-year today? I mean, it's been creeping up. So,
like 6. I think it's
I mean, it's the 10-year Treasury yield is sitting at 3.3. So it's probably touching 6 as an interest rate. But you could probably buy your wholesale deal that was worth $300 for probably $220. So
yeah.
I think my read on is people are nervous, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to jump on with a lot of lower offers. There's homes that have been sitting for a long time, and with that, then you can buy down. Someone asked me last night. A lot of my guys are just finishing up their summer. They've made good money, and they're like, "Dude, Mike, what do you think? Should I buy my home? Should I just wait?" And my answer, it really depends on what your goal is. You want to rent?
You could probably get your seller to not just give you a good discount, but you can probably get a buy down on the mortgage, a good half a point or something like that.
At least a brand new AC unit.
Yeah.
It was a wild few months there where people were escalation clause, all kinds of weird stuff, and I'm glad those are long gone. But I tell my guys, if you want to, then jump in. If you're too scared, I get it. Hang out. I don't think it's my personal prediction is rudimentary and narrow as this is I don't think it's going to drop more than 10 or 15% tops, but that's my read on it. So at that point, then is it worth waiting 2 to 3 years to buy your dream home just to be 10%? Like, I don't know. What we do know is they say interest rates are going to keep going up, and he's been backing that up. So there's a chance you wait a year, your home that you really wanted is only worth 5% less, and now you're paying more in interest. So, there's no better time than right now.
Well, and I mean, we believe we've already dropped 10%. And so we're kind of in that same boat too, of just kind of, sitting here and thinking like, okay, we know we already dropped 10% in the sense of just what our properties were selling for versus what they're selling for now. And so, we're feeling the same thing. Like, what, if it doesn't drop anymore, I think we're going to be, I think we're going to be in a good spot moving forward of just having a better idea of comping houses out and having a better idea of what a property is actually worth now. I mean, that's all Chris does all day long. Chris owns one of the biggest dispo companies in Arizona. And so Chris is pretty good at comping. We'll say that. But I mean, Chris,
I've comped 1 or 2 in my life.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, what would you say, Chris? Do you think, would you agree with that statement that personally here at Viking Real Estate, we think that we've already seen a 10% drop?
Yeah, you can, obviously, everybody was overpaying. I feel for the people that, saw Luke's house in Prescott go up for $300 and they decided to overpay for $340 because they lost that 40 was never theirs and it's gone. So, but the 300 comp was there, and it's actually, if you look at the stats, it's most cities are only down 0.5%, but their stuff is lagging, right? They're using June sales currently, and then they'll use July sales for September and so on and so forth. So, But what we started to say at the beginning is there's only 18,700 actives for whatever 5 or 6 million people, and because of COVID, we had, and if we went back to 4 videos ago, I put that I talked about what it was like in fall of 2019. There were 14,700 actives. So we got 4,000 more actives. And when I say actives, that's all the actives. That's the land, the mobile home, the condo, the townhouse, the house, so.
And how many people have moved here in the last 8 years?
Well, no, we were talking about 2020. We were talking the fall of 2020.
Oh, I thought you said 2014. Okay.
No, yeah. So it was 2019 because it was just before COVID started. I wanted to look just before COVID. Where were we at? What do we look like? And we were 14,700 in the fall, and we're 18,700, and we got 150,000 more people here. Usually, it's like around 80,000 people a year move here.
Right.
Now, was it more than that in the last 2 years with COVID? Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a slow fall. It's always slow in fall. And then it's going to, and then we're going to see what January brings us. And we'll see what the midterm elections, what that looks like in November. And, maybe there'll be some policy changes coming.
Yep. I can see it.
That's as much as I get into politics right there.
Yeah, just scratching the surface a little bit. Awesome.
But yeah, I like real estate as a side hustle. I just met Mike, so that's his story. And I started real estate as a side hustle. I was a computer geek. I was working at Phillips Petroleum, and I had a really cool job. I just watched some servers, and back then you had these cool things called pagers that, every time there was an error on a server, it just paged you, right?
Yeah.
So I can read you the error message. So I started going down to trustee sale in the fall of '99, just watching trustee sales. But I started watching trustee sales, call it August of '99, bought my first one late '99. And it took me till like March, April to quit my job. But eventually I quit my job and, went into real estate full time. So whether you're side hustling, have a business and you're buying a bunch of rentals, obviously that's great for tax purposes, or you want to side hustle and have a full-time job. And, even if you could wholesale a deal or two, if you had some VA callers and you had a good acquisition guy. I have a flight instructor that does some real estate as a side hustle, and he was doing, he liked doing his flying instruction, but he was also doing real estate on the side for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Makes total sense. There's a lot of jobs out there that, that you might only work part-time. And so it's like, if you've got some extra time to kind of fill those voids, like Mike's super busy during the summer, right? Is it from April to September, or April to September?
Yep.
Like what you should do is get some callers in Prescott and then get a really good deal and send it to Luke, and then look at the expression on his face when you're getting a $40,000 markup.
Oh.
I looked at a house with Luke back in March, and every time I looked at it, every couple of weeks, the price kept going up.
Hey, and who did we sell it to? We sold it to an Arizona Cardinal. I think
you got what you wanted out of it too, cash.
We did. It was a cash offer from a receiver for the Cardinals.
Good for you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool, Mike. Yeah, we typically just go for about a half hour here, but we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for talking a little real estate on the side for you. We enjoyed it.
Pleasure to be on. I'm all in for just joining listening and making connections. I feel like so many just good things happen from knowing the right people in the real estate world.
For sure. No doubt
all
about
your network.
And Chris has a pretty large network.
That's what I'm gathering.
Chris is pretty connected. So, but yeah, and just from us talking, Mike, we're going to jump on a multifamily deal together soon.
Hey, you've been saying that for a while.
Look at that. Hey, I sent one over to you last week. That one went UCB right away.
Did it?
It did. It did in hours,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy. 8-unit, and it was not what they were asking was not even a great cap rate on it at all. But it was in Prescott proper, and it went UCB in hours. So I mean, things are still moving. Things are still moving, especially in the multifamily world. So,
well, if it's priced right, it generally moves. So,
right, and that was my thing. I thought this was high. I was like, yeah, this should be lower still. But maybe I'm just used to the prices we get stuff at.
yeah,
that could be it too.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for jumping on. We'll
Heck yeah.
we'll be back next week.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Mike.
See ya. Thanks to me, Mike.